Let's make sure this is working. Are we going? Looks like we're going. Yeah, we're going. Hey guys, Global Thread here. Um, Wanted to come out with a video here of what life is like working at Rivian and what it does to your body and what it does to your soul, pretty much, because I pretty much sold my soul to Rivian, and now I'm paying the price as far as like physical stuff that goes on with me. My back is totally torn up. Um, I basically have to wear special shoes to walk because of the 12-hour shifts, and it just wore my body down. And we'll get into more of that later, but before we get into this, I just want to put a little disclaimer here. I'm not saying that, you know, anyone in this video is bad. I'm not saying that anyone in this video that I'm going to talk about is, ignorant, but I am going to say that a lot of people at Rivian don't know what they're doing, and it's kind of sad. And believe me, I think that RJ is the nicest guy in the world. Um, he opened the door for me once. This is kind of ridiculous, but he opened the door for me once when I was going into the plant, and that holds a lot for me, because that shows me that he's actually a person. And but unfortunately, I don't think he knows how to run a company. I don't think that he has any idea what goes on underneath, you know, uh, in the assembly lines, yada, yada, yada. And let me tell you that it really depends on where you get stationed on how good your time's going to be. Because let me tell you, the van line, the Amazon vans that they have, absolutely a fantastic line. Those people are always really nice. They work hard. They have good management. Now, the assembly lines for the R1Ts and the R1Ss, they do not have good management. They treat you like crap, and I'm trying to be as, I don't want to use curse words. I don't want to use, I'm going to try not to use bad language, but I'm sure that I'll slip up because I have a sailor's mouth. Um, and I'm pretty upset as far as what has gone on and how everything transpired. So, backstory for you: I worked for Rivian for almost 2 years. Um, was it The money's good? Let's just say like that. The money's good. The benefits are fantastic. Um, the vacation time's good to a certain degree. The pay's good, without a doubt. But I just couldn't take it anymore. My back was just so messed up, and I had warned people countless number of times, group leads, team leads, even the doctor themselves that is at the Rivian plant. I told them that my back hurts, and they really didn't take me too seriously, but not realizing that the station that I was in was the reason why, my back was damaged, so to speak. And now it's damaged to the point where I don't even know what to do, because I've lost my insurance. Because once you leave Rivian, you can't get back in. Like, you can't find out about, uh, unless you have their phone number, you can't find out about people. You can't find out about, I can't even look for my paycheck stubs anymore, because they completely took me off. They completely destroyed me. And they might come back and be like, oh well, he was not. And yeah, I was a really good employee. Okay, I had 100% attendance. I had 100% quality. I did my station with the utmost pride. I'm saying a lot. That's terrible, isn't it? But hopefully you guys will keep listening. But anyways, I have a lot of um, it saddens me because I believed in what we were doing. I believed in the EV revolution. I believed in that we were doing stuff that was good for the environment. And it just turns out that we're it's all a lie. They lie to you from day one. Um, for me, I had 8 different group leads in the almost 2 years that I was there. I had countless numbers of team leads. So to break it down, a group lead is the person that's in charge of that particular assembly line. They're the ones you go to for time off, complaints, um, yada, yada, yada. The team leads are they're supposed to be there to make sure that everyone's doing their job. But in the end, the team leads just ended up doing the jobs that we were doing, which made it kind of sad, which is why we went through so many team leads, because they lie to you. They basically lie to you. They lie to you from day one. Um, if we hit this, and I can do other videos, I'll go deeper, darker, yada 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 into some of that stuff. But right now, let's just focus on: is it worth it to work at Rivian? No, it's not worth it to work at Rivian. If you have a chance to get another job, do it, because it's just not worth it, because no one listens. The engineers don't listen, the team leads don't listen, the group leads don't listen, the management doesn't listen. No one listens. It's just you're just talking to a wall, basically. Um, so I was on an assembly line, and I was in charge of installation of seats. Now we were given a certain time to do the process that we were doing, and I was by far superior on the particular station that I was at. So they stuck me there, and they stuck me there for almost the entire time that I was there. I can only remember maybe a couple times being on a different station, but most of the time I was on the same station. And Rivian talks about ergonomics and all the other stuff. That's just that if you know the station and you can do it well, they'll put you there every day. It doesn't matter what's going on. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Um, and I put up complaints to everybody. Every group lead that I had. I had 8 group leads in my time there. 8 of them. That's a lot of group leads. Um, and they do it on rotation, or there's always something deep dark inside whatever decision they make, because they lose a lot of people. Not a lot of people want to sit there and work their butt off for 12 hours and get 5-minute breaks, and then we got a half an hour lunch, which wasn't paid by them. um no no vending machines, no pop machines, no nothing. There was a cafeteria. If you didn't want that food, then you had to bring in your own food. And working construction for 15 years, I brought my own food. I'd always brought my own lunch, just because it saves money. And I just got used to it, so I brought in my own stuff. So most of the time, if somebody needed a drink, I would supply them with a drink, yada yada yada. Um, the employees I work with loved me. I mean, I hope they did, because I love them, because I would have done anything for them. There was quite a few people that came in and they just looked defeated, and I would talk them out of quitting, and did I ever get credit for that? No. The only thing I ever got was a write-up for some stupid thing, and the write-up literally says that I did everything that I was supposed to do, but the language that I used was not proper. Lots of contractors out there, lots of contractors, and those contractors could be just some random guy off the street. It seemed like sometimes I had no idea what he was talking about. I'm kind of babbling on, but let me go back to the station that I was in. I was in charge of installing seats for the R1Ts and the R1Ss. Um, the R1Ts were the trucks, the R1Ss are the SUVs. They were the second row seats. So on the R1T on the truck, it would have been the back seat. And we used these outrageously huge machines that you had to use physical strength to turn. It was tough. You're doing 70, 80, sometimes 100 trucks a day, and you're putting all your, and I felt like I was working out every day, and it just wore me down. It just wore me down. Like, honestly, I could have been a group lead if I would have stayed, probably, but unfortunately I got written up. So after you get written up, you're not allowed to apply for another position for a year, I think it was. So it was tough going. I still have a tough time today. Um, but I just wanted to bring this video to light because I don't think very many people talk about how work life is at Rivian. Like, you have people right now that are suffering, because they have to work almost every Saturday. They're working 6 days a week to fulfill an order for something that some CEO said, hey, we're going to do 52,000 this year, yada, 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 and these people are suffering. These people are hurting, I mean, not as far as money goes, but physically, yeah, they're hurting because I'm still hurting and I haven't been there in 6 months almost. And I quit in early June after we changed our schedule again for the third time. Because when I originally started at Rivian, I was working, my schedule on my contract said I was working 6:40 to 3:40. Unfortunately, the department that they put me in, they did some cuts, so I ended up transferring to the actual plant because originally I wasn't even at the actual plant. I was at a warehouse, doing a secret um, uh, assembly line, yada yada yada. I won't get into that because that was kind of a joke too. And then I got taken over to the regular plant, and I came aware really quick that it was 6:40 a.m. to fucking 7:10 p.m. And 12-hour shifts are really tough. And believe me, I did construction for 15 years, and then I'd done 12-hour shifts, so I thought it would be a breeze. But doing what I was doing at Rivian was very, very, very bad on my body. And I'm still paying the price today, just like I said. I mean, um, I've tried to get another job. I've tried to, but it's just like I physically can't do it anymore. I can't physically do what I did before. My back is gone. But does RJ care? No, RJ doesn't care. The only thing that RJ cares about is getting his raise and getting his monies. And that's the truth. And he can say whatever he wants about this and about that, but we can go in deeper later on if this video reaches the amount of people. We can go into detail on that and stuff. But let me tell you, working at Rivian's not worth it. They don't tell you the truth. They lie to you constantly. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that I want to say. There's a lot of stuff that I want to do. But I can't anymore because I can't physically do it anymore. I just couldn't physically do it anymore. After the last schedule change, it was just it just didn't it just wasn't fitting. It just wasn't fitting for me, physically, mentally, and believe me, I could go for 14 hours working if I needed to, but after 8 hours, you're done, because they give you 5-minute breaks. And you're not even guaranteed to get 5 minutes because it just depends on who your group lead is. Because they pull the line stops, then you go to break. And then, if you're not back within that 5-10 minutes, yada, 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 it's all over with. I think I said 5 minutes. I think you got 10 minutes. It was 15 at first, and then I went down to 10. Yeah, I'm kind of bullshitting right there, but that's all right. But it was 10 minutes, but it felt like 5. I think that, you got to think that after 12 hours a day for 6 months that your body's just going to wear down eventually, and it does. It's not healthy for you. Um, I'm trying to think of, I don't know. I'm kind of getting emotional here, so I'm trying to um, calm down a little bit because I loved what I did. I mean, I loved working for Rivian. I loved um, what I was doing. I was good at what I was doing, but unfortunately, I can't. I can't anymore. Because even if I did go back, I don't think I could physically do it anymore every day. Coming home, you know, eight 8 o'clock at night, try to make a meal real quick, and then go to bed because you got to be right back doing the same thing again tomorrow. You know, and hopefully this wakes somebody up and tells them, hey, look, something needs to change. Because it's definitely not going to be, it's not going to be RJ. And it's definitely not going to be anyone that works at Rivian because all they care about right now is getting them vehicles out. You know, and and to go into the vehicle situation, like, oh my God, like even when I was working there, there's no way I would buy an R1S or an R1T. Just because I knew the way they were put together. I mean, after you get past the the chassis and the battery, I mean, God knows what you're gonna get. You know, um, uh, just you got engineers out there that will give you a part and tell you to put it together, but they won't tell you how to put it together because they don't even know how to put it together. And I would assume that as an engineer, you would want to put that part in yourself to see if it fit. And I think it was kind of like a thing where it was like they were giving you the part and hoping that you could put it in, and if it didn't fit, then they just blamed it on you. A lot of blame game out there. A lot of blame game. Um, they have a HR out there, but they call it what are they? People partners. Um, and it was just a regular thing. Like if you made someone mad, they went to people partners, and it came to the point where it was just like it wasn't even worth it to talk to anybody because they were just going to go to people partners. I had an incident where some of the torque guns weren't working right, and we had asked that the guys in charge of the torque guns come down and take a look at the torques, and the safety or engineer that was on our line, he basically stopped them from coming to check the torque on the gun. And I had a confrontation with him, and he lied about. He said I used the word hell when I was talking to him, and he felt threatened. And nothing ever really came about because they pretty much, took and they interviewed all the people that were around me at the time, and they were just like, yeah, Todd has a really bad mouth, but you know what? I don't think at that time he ever, said a bad word. And they were kind of surprised because that's, I have a terrible mouth. I'm throwing out cuss words like it's nothing, but I mean, 15 years of work in construction, that's just the mouth that I developed. um, but that incident was like really, really just ridiculous because it's just like those torques are important. If those torques don't come out right, then that bolt's either too tight or too loose, and it could come back to haunt you. But he didn't care. He just wanted to get him out of there so that the line could continue moving, because that's what it was all about, was the line moving. Let's keep the line moving. Let's keep the line moving no matter what. And I mean, there was several incidents where, it was like, man, maybe we need to stop the line for a minute to reassess the situation, but they never did. They just kept the line moving. It just kept going and going and going, and the same problems over and over and over and over again. Um, just to the point where it was just like, why does this guy even have his job? What does he do here? And I'm talking about the engineer that was, talking about the torques and stuff. Like he has no idea. I mean, because when I first got there for the first couple weeks, I was banging in things with my hands. I was banging parts in with my hands, using my fists, yada, yada, yada. They give you gloves, but there's only so much that your hand can take before, something bad happens. So, I brought in my own hammer. And, or I guess it was a mallet. Sorry. Hammer, mallet, same thing to me sometimes. Um, but I brought in my own mallet to, you know, put my parts in, because my hand was hurting. Work construction for such and such years. It's just like, I have a tool belt. I have tools. I use tools. That's what I'm all about. I am not a tool, you know. My body is not a tool. I don't want to be a tool. And I'm sure that there's factories all around the world that, you know, do things with their hands, yada, yada, yada. But I would assume that it would just be pressing things in and not hitting them with your hands. I mean, you got parts that are on the line that you're hitting with your hands constantly. You're doing that 70, 80, 100 times a day. Eventually, somebody's going to get hurt. And, I mean, I don't know the statistics, but I'm sure it's pretty high on guys that and girls that got hurt from banging things into these vehicles. And it's kind of sad because it's just like, man, I'm just bringing in my own hammer. But once I brought in my own hammer, it seemed that everybody kind of followed suit. And then hammers started coming on the line. Um, Things started, starting to progress. I thought I was making a difference because you set an example, and I wanted to set an example. Like, guys, you don't need hammers for, you don't need to use your hand as a hammer. You need a real hammer. Um, just lots of things like and I love the people I work with. I really did. They were fantastic. I enjoyed my time. I enjoyed everything that had to do with the people that I worked with, and I would do anything for them. Um, let's see, what else can we get into as far as like let's see, management. Management's terrible. Absolutely the worst management I've ever seen. It was literally like a fraternity. Like, if you didn't know this guy and you weren't in good with this guy, then you weren't getting what you wanted, And there was like maybe one good manager that was on my line, and he did a fantastic job. He would definitely listen to you, but most, like 95% of the management there has no fucking clue what they're doing. Like, not even a clue. Um, and it's hard because you're trying to, you know, get your point across, but it doesn't get anywhere. It goes in one ear and goes right out the other one. Kind of like with the engineers. You say something to an engineer and it goes in one ear and it goes right out the other because, oh, you used to work fast food or something, so you don't know. And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of uh, bias against people that don't have an education. But then why are you? Somebody has to do it. Somebody has to build these parts. I mean, I see it as this. If you work fast food and you worked in the kitchen, you were already putting sandwiches and orders together. So, I mean, that's a good start for somebody that wants to be an assembler. And there was a lot of engineers that just didn't take anyone seriously. Didn't understand the line, didn't understand the process, couldn't even figure out the process. I mean, my station in turn, we were under time. I could do my station in a minute and a half, and we were given 4 minutes to do our station, and I mastered it like it was nothing. I've been putting things together my whole life, so, you know, I figured at some point that I would master it, and I did. And they just ignore you. If you're under time and you're doing a good job, oh, there's nothing wrong with that station. That station's fine. But not getting in depth and trying to figure out, how can we make this easy for someone else to do it if this person isn't here that day? They don't care. They don't care. As long as they get their vehicles out, they don't care. Um, and then you wonder all these times that RJ said this and said that and said this and said that, and I don't think any of it's true. They told us that we did, what was it, 5,000 vehicles last year, and we had a big celebration and stuff. And then 2 weeks later, we get a thing saying, oh, yeah, we only did 4,853. I was like, oh, okay, then why did we celebrate 5,000 vehicles? Um, Lots of just deception. You wonder why they're so like, go online and look up, Rivian, and see if you can like get a hold of anybody inside Rivian, because you can't. They'll put you to the front desk, and then they'll transfer you to this person and this person. Their transparency is very, very weak as far as like keeping people informed, keeping people aware. Um, it's pretty sad. It's pretty sad. Probably not making a whole lot of sense, and I really have so much to say and so much to give that it's hard for me to focus, because I'm really emotional about this, because I figured that Rivian was my last stop. I figured, this is the job that's going to keep me busy for the next 20, 25 years, and I'm going to be happy. And believe me, I was very happy when I first got there, but after so many times of being put down, and after so many times of people not listening, and after so many mess ups, it comes to the point where it's just like, I gotta move on. And I quit. um the day that I quit, um there the station, the assembly line that I was in, um it was cut off into two. There was one for seats, and then there was one for other stuff. And I always wanted to go to other spots to see if I could help, and no one ever really took me seriously. They just kept sticking me in the physical spots, and lots of primitive, just lots of primitive ways of putting things together. Um, Machines that aren't used. Um, lots of just a lot of ignorance that went on when they first got there. Like, you know, if you're not aware, Mitsubishi used to be here for a really, really long time, and that plant that they have right now, that Rivian has, is the plant that Mitsubishi used to be in. And I'm assuming that Mitsubishi took most of the stuff out when they left, but I'm sure that they left quite a few, things that, they didn't want or were too hard to take out, and he obviously had an outline, RJ, an outline of what could make him successful, because Mitsubishi was very successful here. They did go out of business, yes, but when they first started, they were very successful. They were producing outrageous amounts of vehicles, way more than Rivian, like way more than Rivian, and obviously they didn't follow any of that, because I've never seen anything that was so, they're asking for 100 vehicles, but they can only bring, 3 seats out at a time. How the heck you gonna do 100 vehicles in a day when you can only roll out you know, 3 sets of seats, every time? I think the max on my conveyor I could have was like 6 seats at once. Um, Very primitive, very primitive, very low budget, stuff. Um, and the parts, they say that they're high quality, but they're really not. Like, you could bring me a Rivian truck or SUV right now, and I will guarantee you I will find something wrong with it. I guarantee you I'll find something wrong with it. Especially the interior. Um, Seen lots of interiors, lots of carpet, lots of dashes, I mean, I've seen everything under the sun. So, if you question me about, what I know, and if Rivian comes back and like, oh, well, he doesn't know what he said. Yeah, bring me a truck, bring me an SUV. I guarantee I'll find something wrong with it, because I can see. I've worked with enough of them. myself, I've put together, 15 to 20,000 vehicles myself. Because I guarantee you that if you're sitting there with an R1S or an R1T right now, I bet you almost $100 that I put that seat in. And I took a lot of pride in putting that seat in. Did they take a lot of pride in trying to help me? No. No. As long as I could do what they want, then that was fine. And then, once again, they threw me out to the wolves basically in the end because, I never got a call back from anybody. I would assume that you have somebody that works there that's, 100% attendance, and they tell you one day that they're not coming back, and if things change, then give me a call, because that's what I said. I was just like, hey, if things change, you can get me to another line, then give me a call. No one ever called me. They basically were just like, oh, you abandoned your job, you're fired. So obviously whoever I talked to didn't, um, relay that message to anyone. And believe me, that the day that I left, my back hurt so bad that there was no way that I was going to make it through my shift, especially in the station that they put me in. And they don't care. No one cares. RJ doesn't care. And I'm assuming that I'm probably babbling on, and that's okay. And if nothing makes any sense, then I'm sorry. This is more of a video to get out my frustrations, because I'm still hurting today, and it's hard. It's real hard. I don't even know how I'm gonna. I don't even know how I'm gonna get another job, to do anything, And I didn't file for unemployment because I really didn't want to go through that hassle. And I cashed in all my stocks, and just was done with it, And then I got up today, and I just took one step, and my back just almost creaked, and I almost fell to my knees. So it was like, maybe it's time for me to come out and say something to somebody, and see if I can get some sort of closure in this, and maybe I can help someone else, because it's rough. It's rough. Things have progressively gotten worse. Oh, and that's another thing. Like, we got our yearly bonus last year, and I think it was supposed to be $1,700. So instead of giving us half cash and half stocks, they gave us all stocks for our bonus. And part of the bonus is that you only got half at the time, but then if you were there for another 6 months, then you would get the other half of the bonus, which made no sense to me. And that was like one of the reasons why I was like, yeah, I got to get out of here, because, I've worked too hard to have somebody say, oh, you can only have half, when everybody else was getting, probably cash, probably more, more stocks. And then you hear about RJ getting a raise and stuff. Like, what do you need a raise for? Like, what do you need a raise for? You don't need a raise. You haven't done anything. You come out there and you're talking about how, well, we're 100%, electric. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I ask RJ this question, like, how do you get your vehicles to the customers? Because I know you don't use EV trucks to transport these vehicles all the time, and how do you get your parts, RJ? Do you use an electric semi to get those parts there? No, you use regular diesel fueled semis to get your trucks there. So he can say all he wants, and how he's trying to do this and how he's trying to do that, but he's not really doing much as far as, like, helping the environment. You would assume that, one of the first things you would want to do is figure out a way to get your vehicles there, you know, um, not gas powered, but, yeah, that's all under the carpet. He's not worried about all that, because nobody sees that. but it should be common knowledge, that if you get your parts are going to come on a semi, and that semi is going to be fueled by diesel. So, you know, it a lot of the stuff they say doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And then you wonder why, they're so secret about everything. Like everything's got to be a secret. I'm sure that, if they see this video and it starts to get some hits, they'll be like, "Oh my God, it's he's lying, he's lying." Yeah, I'm not lying. Go out there and look at it. Go sit in the parking lot for 20 minutes and see how many semis come by. To drop off parts because most of them are, gas powered. And even the employees are using gas powered vehicles to get to work. How come there's not a program for them to, get an EV? Why wouldn't you want to encourage that? But they don't, because they can't produce enough to even get to the people that they want to now. They can't do it. He's so RJ is so lost in this fight for uh uh investors and all this other stuff that it's just like, he's forgetting about the core things that brought him to where he's at today. I mean, you got a California company coming into the Midwest and moving into a plant that was already established through Mitsubishi, and it's been nothing but a disaster. I mean, I kind of wonder sometimes, like, why hasn't anyone else come out with a video describing the how it was to work at Rivian? And it's just like I think that most of those people are just like, you know what, let's just forget about it. Let's just move on to something else. And they probably did because a lot of people in this town have worked for Rivian, and a lot of those people don't work for Rivian anymore. I want to say for me on my assembly line, there was me and four other people that had been there for longer than a year, and yeah, people advance, people get other jobs, people go to other lines, stuff like that. But a lot of those people weren't there anymore because they just got fed up with all the BS that was going on. And there was a lot of BS that goes on, and there probably still is to this day. Because I want to hope that, in the 6 months that I haven't been there, that they've improved. But from what I've heard, it doesn't sound like they've improved at all. It sounds like it's just the same as it was when I was there. It was the same as, it was at the beginning, because the beginning was a joke too. All of it was a joke. It was like a nightmare. That I still haven't woke up from because I still haven't got my life back together. And I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get my life back together now because I can't physically do what I was doing before, and it's hard for my family to deal with it too because, you know, they see me as the rock, and they see me as, someone that can, do whatever they need to do, mow the yard, clean the house, build things, yada yada. And I can't even do that anymore. I can maybe do stuff for a couple hours, and then it's just like I'm physically drained. I'm physically done. I'm physically, I gotta sit down, and I gotta relax. Like right now, just sitting here like this, my foot is killing me, you know. And bending over like this is probably one of the only ways that, is comfortable for me. I turned a machine to put seats in for 15, 20,000 times, and my back just wore down, and no one took me seriously. Like, no one took me seriously. And I'm sure that a lot of people won't take me seriously right now, and that's okay because I'm not worried about that. This is for me and hopefully to help someone else that that needs it too, because if you're out there and you work for Rivian and you can't get another job right now because you're physically unable to do it, I'm here. I'm here for you. I'm here to express my feelings for you too. Because Rivian's a joke. You know, RJ, you're a joke, and that's just the bottom line. Is you're a joke. You know, you came into this town, and I want to say my town, but that's so rude because it's not really my town. It's everyone's town. You know, that's in Bloomington Normal. But you came into our town, and you promised us a lot of things. You promised, and you've done nothing but destroy and to get what you want. You know, um, there's just a lot of things that need to be said when it comes to how Rivian treats their employees and how Rivian needs to treat their employees. You know, I think I saw an article a couple weeks ago of how Dick Durbin tried to talk to RJ about a union. Like, come on. Like, you seriously think that he wants a union out there? He does not want a union out there, because once he puts that union out there, he has no control over what happens to his employees as far as like making them stay for 10, 12 hours a day, to make his vehicles. You got lots of families around here that have children that the parents are working 10, 12 hours a day. They're working on Saturdays 10 to 12 hours a day, and then you want that work life balance. There's no work life balance there. I mean, as soon as they took, we used to be on a schedule where I worked for 4 days, and then I was off for 5 days, and then I would work for 2 days, and then I'd be off for 2 days, and then I'd work 4 days, and then I'd be off 5 days. And that was so nice, but they took that away, and then they went to 5 days a week, you know. And at first they said it was 8 hours, but you can kind of read through the dotted lines after a while, because it was just like they can't tell you the truth anyway. So what the hell makes you think they're going to tell you the truth this time? You know, RJ just needs to like take a look at himself. He needs to take a look at his business, because it's just going to fail. I mean, I can't tell you how many countless numbers of times where we got stats where like, hey, we're doing 100 vehicles, but only 30 of them are ready for, the road, you know, and then it just doesn't make any sense. So hopefully this video does something for you. Hopefully this video helps you, because it's going to help me. So thank you for listening.